funny because I have actually bit of history here on the coast. I spent twice over 2 months with my pro cycling team back in 2008 on the coast, and we trained on this beach road every single day. We just rode up and down. So I know every single corner, every single like little hill up. Like I know just everything on this road, and for me it just feels like family. Like I know everything, and it's good to see where you have to go. I mean, when you start, you can see the city, you can see Melbourne. You know, that's where you have to go, and there's no chance to pull out or make a shortcut or something like that, or just start doing 2 loops and say, oh no, I'm close to transition 2, and that's where I'm staying. That's just one way. You have to go, otherwise I don't know. You just have to finish, and I love this kind of running point to point.
How's your training been going leading up to this?
Yeah, good. I did pretty much the same preparation I did last year. I had a race in Abu Dhabi like I did last year, and recovered well, and yeah, no.
And that seemed to work.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Cameron Brown. Cameron, 2 weeks.
Well, the good news is all 3 of us actually race a lot. I mean, we all race the same weekend, Caroline in Abu Dhabi and Gina and I in New Zealand. And I've done 2 weeks apart, and they've worked out all right. I've never done one 3 weeks apart. At first, I was like, that might not be great, because sometimes I feel the effect of the first one 3 weeks later. So I'm sort of hoping I'll just feel the effects of the 2 4 weeks later, and I don't care if that puts me, as I was telling you, Phil, into a vampire state for a couple weeks. You know, this is going to be hopefully my last Ironman until Kona, which is something new for me, and I'm going to tackle my very first Olympic distance coming up in May, which I've never done anything less than a 70.3, so that'll be a good change. I think the key for recovery for me is actually to keep my body moving. That doesn't mean go right back at it and hit the intensity and all that stuff, but lots of more medial swimming and biking and running where you're keeping the legs flowing and keeping the engine open. So I've done a lot of that lately, and I had the pleasure of coming over here a couple weeks before the race, so I'm not as acquainted with Beach Road as Caroline over here. So as she says, I'll be trying to catch her if I can, right? I love it. So I'm excited. It'll be fun.
How do you've gone over the course? Do you think it plays into any of your strengths?
Well, the swim, being a wetsuit swim, will be nice, and hopefully a little colder. Just training in San Francisco between 50 and 70 degrees is pretty well, works out pretty well for me. But I think now that I'm getting used to New Zealand being a course in similar terms, no chip seal, no Gina, this is going to be ideal. So I think I like the point too, and the fact she's absolutely right, the fact that you can see the city, there's no out, it's just get to the line. So I think it'll be a good situation for everyone.
I'm doing something quite difficult. I'm doing 3 iron distance races in about just over 2 months. So between the Wanaka race I did and Taupo, I decided, because I've always done that combination before, I've always felt a little bit overdone, like I'd done a little bit too much, so I went the other way. I allowed myself plenty of recovery, and I maybe felt a little bit underdone on the race. I just, for the lengthwise on the bike, went really well for 90 Ks, and then maybe suffered in the last 90 Ks of the bike. So I am hoping that was in my legs now, that long distance race, and just helping me towards this one. But also I tend to need a race where I know I'm going to have a big break afterwards, and after this race I'm going to have about 3 weeks off. So I know I can absolutely give it everything on the run, and just the last 10 Ks, give it everything. I want to finish with nothing left in the tank.
I've heard that a lot with a lot of the pros, where they know they have a decent break afterwards. It just seems to catapult them into their day even better than before, just because of that break. They're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's just, I think you can't put your body on too much, you can only do it a few times a year, and obviously Kona is when you give it absolutely everything, you finish with nothing left. And this race is another one, and maybe one other, but if I'm going to do 6 iron races a year, I can't give 100% all the time, but you just, when you're there at the time, your mind just won't let your body do it if you know you've got 1 in 3 weeks. Right. So yeah, it's hopefully I'll have that a little bit more endurance in my body, and just be able to let my mind push my body into the pain zone.